All right, so another excellent set of slides by Carlos for the Site Owner Academy. For those watching on Instagram, I will put this on YouTube and on the podcast later today. But basically, I mean, could have been a webinar, Chris, and it's really for both of us because now you're dabbling in the CRA space as well. I mean, in the last 2 weeks, you've done what, 2 monitoring visits, right?
This is correct. Can't say I'm loving them, but yeah, doing last week, a couple weeks.
Yeah. So the topic is what I learned as a clinical research associate that I didn't know as a site owner. So by Chris Sauber and Dan Sferry. You like how Carlos put your name there?
Yeah, you must have said something.
I didn't.
Really?
Yeah, I think that was kind of, maybe you told them. I don't know. I didn't tell them anything.
I didn't say anything.
All right, good. So Chris Sauber and Dan Sferry. So next slide, take it away. But before we go to next slide, what did you learn? Like, what's the main thing you learned as a CRA that you didn't know as a site owner and you kind of wish you did? Because I can kind of share my stories also.
I mean,
But
honestly, nothing comes to mind with that question. The only thing that comes to mind, but it's not answering your question, is it's very imperative, I think, that you take very good notes when you're monitoring. Because,
okay.
I mean, again, it has nothing to do with site owner, though.
Okay. Yeah, because you know what? I think this question first came up in the Site Owner Academy, actually. This is why we're doing the presentation for the Site Owner Academy. But recently I was interviewed by Daniel Regitt. Shout out to Daniel Regitt. Maybe he's on the live stream. And if you guys have questions in the live stream, let us know. Put it in there. I will read it. So Daniel Regitt, the CRA coach, he interviewed me on his channel. I interviewed him recently as well. And he actually asked me this again. So first time it was one of the Site Owner Academy students asked me, hey, what do you know now as a CRA that you didn't know as a site owner? And how do you apply that to being a site owner? So for me, it was the fact that the CRAs are really there to do a job, and they're not really there to do anything else other than to do a job, right?
Yep.
So I used to think when I was a site owner that they were there to find something wrong. Like I had the wrong impression of them. I used to think that they were just trying to find something wrong, and they couldn't wait to find something wrong that we did so they could put it in their report and let the sponsor know. I was very paranoid. And when I became a CRA, I realized that that's the furthest thing from the truth. You actually don't want that as a CRA because it's more work for you. Like, you really don't want to find something wrong at the site. Like something major. You know, you want to find little things here and there. Finding protocol deviations is even good because you want to catch those. But like finding something like, lack of PI oversight or just training issues or like systemic issues with the site, you don't want that as a CRA. You know, that's not what you want as a CRA. That's just more work for you.
Sure. But I mean, I think you kind of knew that prior to being a CRA, that most CRAs are on the site side of things. That they're your ally, not your enemy.
Yeah, but so when I first started as a site owner, that's the way I thought. And then somebody's saying in Instagram, sometimes the CRA low key will tell the site how to correct things too. Yes, I do this all the time now as a CRA. Very low key. We tell them what to do. But when I started as a site owner, I didn't think so. And I slowly started interacting with more monitors. I slowly started to change my mind, but I didn't fully go on the other side of it until I became a CRA myself.
Now, that's not to say some CRAs aren't truly out to find those things. They want to get your site in, that's their quotes, in trouble. So they go out of their way to try and find these things. Very few, but some do.
Some do. It's actually absolutely correct. And if you just came in on the Site Owner Academy, we're muting everyone, but after I go live, we will unmute everyone so we can talk privately in the Site Owner Academy after the presentation. Okay, so I guess we go to next slide now. That was a good first slide. I don't know how many Carlos it has.
I think it's 5.
And shout out to Carlos for doing the quote, doing a great job on the quotes for Instagram and for landing a new job Uh, kind of thanks to me. Kind of, I had a lot to do with it, this one. And you as well, to some extent, Chris. But
Yeah.
I just talked to the doctor there and they love Carlos.
Yep.
So, and we're going to be working with him because as CRAs, he'll be our coordinator now.
That's correct. For the study.
So misconceptions about monitors. Many news sites feel that monitors are only interested in looking for findings. And this, like you said, Chris, some of them actually are, but this is rare.
Right.
You don't, this is too much work for the CRAs.
Right.
Somebody said, I love when CRAs catch things. I had a monitor too. Yeah, I had a monitor too. And then somebody said, yeah, Carlos. Yeah, see, people are starting to follow Carlos on Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's probably busy working, so I don't think he's on this right now.
Right.
So much that when I knew CRA took over, they found so many errors that should have been caught. Exactly. So see, sites appreciate the fact that CRAs catch things, because when a new CRA comes or if the FDA auditor comes, you kind of are relying on the CRA to catch these things. Okay.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
yeah, go ahead. What did you want to say?
No, I was just agreeing. Exactly. I mean, what would you rather have? Serious findings from the FDA or CRA catch these things? I mean, of course. That's their job, that's their function, and that's what you want them to do as a site owner. You want them to prevent any findings from the FDA, or as many as possible.
That's right. So as far as like misconceptions about monitors, that's a big one. This form of thinking is hard to change and could lead to many sites having little trust for monitors. This is true. And the most underrated, and another quote I put on Instagram today, the most underrated relationship in all of research that nobody talks about ever, never outside of the industry are they going to talk about this, but even in the industry they don't talk about it, is the CRA-CRC relationship. It's the most underrated relationship in maybe all of life sciences. Okay, you need to have a good rapport with your coordinator, or else really bad things can happen with the study, like the site just stops enrolling patients.
Sure. Or the CRC is not unresponsive because they don't like discussing things with you as the CRA. I mean, there's all kinds of problems that can arise from a bad relationship there.
Right. Another misconception is monitors are not to be trusted, even if they act friendly. It's not true. Monitors should be trusted. They are your ally in this. Let them give you reason if you're a site, let them give you reason to not trust them first. Don't just go in there with the misconception that you're not going to trust them. But like Chris said, some of them are going to throw you under the bus. Right? But most don't do this. Most want to get their job done, get their report done, and go to the next site. And they don't really want problems.
Yeah, I've been doing this for a dozen years. I've interacted probably well over 50 CRAs, probably 100. I've only known two. I've only known two that were genuinely out to get the site.
Good. Next slide. Next slide. This is good. I like these Site Owner Academy slides. Somebody said it was a great idea. We're doing these every week on the Site Owner Academy. Okay. Monitor reports. So this is what monitors are typically concerned about. It's not what can they find, what can they get you on. It's completing their reports. Chris, you just completed 2 reports the other day. Okay.
Correct.
You're not thinking at all about how can I get the site in trouble here.
No, can I remember, because the notes weren't the greatest, can I remember the things that I didn't take note of and report them correctly? More concerned about what am I doing wrong or right, opposed to what the site's doing wrong or right.
Right.
So that is your ultimate goal, to make sure the site's informed of all the things that are not in line and need to be corrected at site level. Surely that's your job and function as a CRA. So you want to make sure and make them aware of these things, but it really falls on yourself. Are you doing your job correctly as a CRA?
And remember site owners, okay? I just interviewed Pat Stone. He's a former FDA auditor. I think he has the record of most warning letters ever written by any FDA auditor. And I interviewed him for like the 3rd time on the podcast. But last week was like the first time in 7 years I interviewed him. And now he's no longer works for the FDA. He's a consultant, helps pharma companies. I asked him like, hey, If the FDA goes to audit a site and they find issues with that site, are they going to look at the monitor and the monitoring reports? He said absolutely 100% yes. They're going to start questioning who's the monitor, and the monitor can get in trouble because it's going to obviously go back to the sponsor, right?
Yeah,
So,
that absolutely makes sense, and that's how it should be. If the CRA is not doing their job, then the site's going to have more difficulties, more problems, and the CRA should be held to blame, at least to an extent.
right. So when a CRA is asking the site for stuff, they're not trying to give you a hard time. Yeah, Chris, you got disconnected by your back. CRA can help with recruitment, give tips, etc. So yes, CRAs are not trying to find things like give the sites a hard time. That's if you take anything away from this presentation, CRAs are not trying to do that.
CRAs. But what surprised me when I interviewed Pat Stone was the FDA is also looking at CRA reports. So CRAs, no wonder they're looking for all these things and asking sites to be compliant. It's not really that they're trying to be mean or difficult. They're just trying to do their job. They're not trying to get in trouble with their employer, and they are definitely not trying to get in trouble with the FDA. So that, from that interview with Pat Stone, was my take-home message. My take-home message to you site owners in this Site Owner Academy is have a good working relationship with your CRA. What do you think, Chris? You're back. Glad to have you back, man.
Well, I think you sir. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't agree more. Again, I think CRAs, for the most part, like to consider themselves as allies to the site, not enemies. So, yeah, anything that they're asking of the site is for the site's own good, really, and of course the CRA as well.
Yep. Different types of reports. Pre-study visit report, site initiation report. It's important to note here, usually the CRA will be different CRA for the site selection visit than for the initiation and the other visits. They usually send, not always, but usually they'll send somebody else for the pre-study selection visit, the PSSV, and then they'll send somebody else for the regular SIV and then the IMVs. And you'll have hopefully the same monitor for those visits for the duration of the study. But we all know CRA turnover is pretty high, and that you're not guaranteed to, especially if it's a long-term study, you're not guaranteed to continue with your CRA the entire time.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. I've worked on studies in which I think there were 5 or more CRA changes throughout the study.
Yeah. And then some are better than others, as you'll know as a site owner. Here's the thing as a site owner. One of the things, and I'm going to make it real practical for you guys, besides all the good relationships and all this stuff, sometimes you got to actually stay on top of your CRAs. So there was a situation I had when I was really in the trenches running the site, where our site hasn't gotten paid in like 8 months. And I had to get to the bottom of why we're not getting paid. We had a lot of patients. We're entering data in the EDC. We're doing everything we're supposed to do. And you know what it was? It turned out the CRA forgot to click verified on every visit. I mean, she was monitoring the visits. She just wasn't checking a box on the bottom of every EDC page that triggers the payment. So it took me 8 months to figure out with the project manager what's going on. We never suspected the CRAs, and she wasn't doing it on purpose. She just, probably nobody told her, hey, you have to check the box. And so you gotta, as a site owner, also stay on top of your CRAs. I always ask them, hey, are you having to check a box for us to get paid? Or let me help you do your job better and you can help us get paid faster. It's good to have that kind of a working relationship with your monitor.
Absolutely.
Is there any other slide? This is monitor reports. Oh, there is more. So what monitors want? You take it away, Chris. Now that you're a CRA, what monitors want?
On my screen, the last bullet point's blocked out. I can't see it, so I'll have to do that one. But anyhow.
Yeah, I can't see it either. I can't see it either. Just click hide. Click hide next to that thing.
What monitors want? Monitors have an interest in making sure that the sites they work with know what they're doing. Well, absolutely. Their jobs are made much easier if the site knows what's going on and what they're doing. Monitor has to educate the site on every issue that occurs, it's going to make your job much more difficult. So
To say the
absolutely.
least. Let me wave to everybody here. Yeah, what next? What do you think about this, Chris? If when you're a CRA,
Sure. I
now that
mean,
you're a CRA, I mean, you're monitoring almost as much as me now. You
no,
know.
that's hardly even true. I mean, but yeah, I am monitoring more now than in the past. So, but certainly, I mean, if you have to educate and train a staff member repeatedly or all the staff at the site, it's going to leave very little time for you to actually do your true job in which you're reviewing the data.
Right.
Makes your job much more difficult, and it's not something most CREs probably want to deal with. So I've encountered some CREs that are actually very good at this. Like they don't seem to mind. They may even enjoy educating a staff member, training them essentially.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah, they might enjoy
what,
that better than, some monitors enjoy that better than doing SDV. I mean, let's face it, SDV is kind of boring.
Yep, absolutely.
Interacting. And here's something people don't really talk about, and it's hard for me and you to truly understand because we're not full-time CRAs at all by any stretch. I mean, even me, like I just have a few side projects that I'm a consultant for another CRO, and then we own our own CRO. Like that's the only monitoring we do. We don't really travel that much, and whenever we do monitor, it's usually together, Chris. So, but
Yep.
there's, the CRA coach talks about this all the time. Like, monitoring is actually lonely, especially during normal times when you're on the road, like 4 days out of the week, you're by yourself. Like you want to have that human interaction at the site level. And so I'm not surprised a lot of monitors prefer to train staff, take them under their wing when they're new. I had a monitor do that to me when I was new. I also had another monitor when I was new that didn't take me under the wing. It was more like tough. They tried to show tough love, but it wasn't really. There was no love at all involved in that relationship.
That's tough, but
Just tough. But yeah, so that's something people don't really talk about, but I think people need to talk about because I have people DMing me on Instagram all the time, CRAs saying, hey, I had to take like a mental health break for a week. And my employer is kind of giving me a hard time because they need me to hit metrics and all that stuff. So yeah, it's not easy work to be a CRA. People just look at the payments or the salary, but there's a lot that goes into it.
yeah, without a doubt, without a doubt.
So if you're a site owner, have the whole point of all this for the site owners is try to have some empathy. I mean, especially during normal times when people are traveling, like you don't want to be rude to the CRA. You don't know what kind of day they're having. So just try to have a good working relationship with them. That kindness goes a long way, a really long way.
And Dan's absolutely correct. A lot of them are looking for that human interaction. I mean, I've dealt with a number of CRAs in which they'll sit there and talk to you for an hour and a half. Nothing to do with the study at all.
Right.
So it's very common. They seem to be quite lonely at times.
Yep. So bottom line, bad sites require more work for the monitors. Good sites don't have too many pending action items, which can lead to escalation or meetings to resolve site problems. So let me break it down for you guys, site owners here. As a CRA, when I go monitor a site, and I have a site that has outstanding action items for like 6 months or more, it starts to reflect poorly on me at this point. And I'm a cool CRA. Like, I'm not gonna give you a hard time as the site. I'm there to do my job, and that's it. But at some point, even the cool ones are gonna get a little more hardcore because it's starting to reflect poorly on me, and so you don't want that as a site. Like, there's some sites I've monitored I will not recommend again. Right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
That's true. Yeah.
Well,
I won't recommend under the same circumstances. They would have to make some changes. I would probably have to have a conversation with the PI, but yeah, absolutely. And I haven't monitored that many sites.
yeah, that's why kind of surprising, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's the bottom line, guys. So is there any more slides, or is that it?
Yep.
Somebody says, I can attest that they will talk to you for human interaction. LOL. Yes. And CRA wants to see the action items are taken care of timely. Exactly. So now we're going to stop recording, Chris. We're going to stop. Oh, we have one more slide. Hey, you guys are lucky on Instagram. We got one more slide, so stay tuned. Put your comments there. Dealing with monitors. Sites should be willing to work with their monitors because they are not trying to shut you down. Most monitors would prefer not to have findings, major deviations, or queries because it makes their reports longer. So if we haven't said it already, here it is in text form that you can read when you're on YouTube. If you're on the podcast, you're listening. Thank you very much.
Subscribe. Make sure you tell a friend about it. We lost Chris again, but it's okay because we're done with the slides. And on Instagram, what's up, Vic? My brother is visiting from North Carolina, 49er coach Vic. How's it going? I had a CRA tell me they had to issue queries because he was being questioned by his superiors on why he isn't issuing queries, and the site hardly had any queries. Yeah, I mean, sometimes a CRA is not an easy job. Like, even if your sites are good and you're resolving, the best CRA actually resolves most of the problems before they leave the site for the day. So the best CRAs actually take care of the action items before they even leave. So this person's saying that their CRA was so good, they weren't issuing queries because everything was getting taken care of in real time, right? And then their superior, their lead CRA was telling them, hey, why are you not having more queries? So, you can never satisfy your people as a CRA, but it's a tough job. So as a site owner, have some empathy. Now anything you want to add, Chris? To wrap up the recording here?
Nope. I think did a good job covering it.
All right, so Instagram, we're going to go off because now we're going to have some private conversations on the Site Owner Academy.